Well, she has changed the lives of tens of thousands of people as an activist for Native Americans and all their nations for decades, from helping the Taos Pueblo regain control of Blue Lake, a sacred place of worship, to being a vice presidential candidate of the Citizens Party. Back in the 1980s, there is no doubt that her wisdom and knowledge has influenced our nation for decades and decades to come. And this morning, she's going to share some of that wisdom with us. Lovely Mrs. LaDonna Harris is here. LaDonna, thank you so much for coming in. It's good to see you.
Not at all. It's a
Okay,
pleasure.
let's talk about the reason you are here, the main reason, and the reason you're in Albuquerque for this weekend in the Gathering of Nations. They're giving you a very big honor for being able to influence Washington for decades for the positive influence of Native Americans. What's it feel like to be able to get that award?
Oh, it's a great honor, and I'm overwhelmed by the fact that there'll be all those people from all over the country and Canada as well. And it's just a great occasion, and for them to think of me to being honored with a special dance, and it's overwhelming.
Because in your culture, that is a huge
it
thing,
is.
particularly when you have the Gathering of Nations and you talk about,
Yes.
say, 100,000 people here from all around North of America, and they're going to be doing something special, particularly for you.
That's what's so beautiful about it.
It's going to be great. What day is that so people can come
It's
and
Saturday.
watch? It's going to be Saturday.
And around 3 o'clock, I believe, in the afternoon.
Okay. You going to tear up a little bit?
Yes.
I don't mean to put you on the spot.
I will, because
Yeah.
it is very emotional, and my tribe will have a delegation there, and we'll sing. I'm a Comanche,
Right.
And they'll be honoring me that way. That the delegation from home will be there as well.
You talk about home. You're from Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
Married to a U.S. Senator. How did that give you access to Washington that say a lot of other Native Americans who really try hard to make a difference and get their issues across to our politicians, that you were able to do something they couldn't?
Well, Fred and I are divorced now, but we were high school sweethearts, and he went to the state senate. I put him through college first, and then he went to the state senate and then to the U.S. Senate. And so, you know, a Comanche girl from Cotton County, Oklahoma, going to Washington was a real great cultural experience. But after learning the culture of Washington, you learned how to influence it. And I was one of the few wives that were active, and I turned out to be the first senator's wife ever to testify in Congress. And so I just learned to as a Comanche, you always admire other people's culture. So the Washington culture was just one of those other, like, you learn to work with other tribes, and so you learn to work with...
It's a whole other world out there.
And it was a little easier in my day with Lyndon Johnson and even Nixon. I got on well with him, and so it was fascinating, and I learned a great deal. And I was a token woman Indian on a lot of national boards, and so I got to learn from other people's experience, like the Urban League and Urban Coalition and other things. So it was an exciting time, but I learned that experience in Oklahoma. We organized the first Indian statewide organization in Oklahoma, Oklahomans for Indian Opportunity. So when we were in Washington, we just went national, and now we're going international this year.
We're lucky enough to have you based here in Albuquerque,
Yes.
and you talk about the international aspect of it. What do you plan to do from here?
Well, we've already started this year. We have what we call the Ambassadors Program. It's up-and-coming leaders of an indigenous people, Indian people from their own communities, and they're selected. And this year we have half the classes U.S. and half the classes international. We have Ainus from Japan, we have Maoris from New Zealand, Samoans, Bolivians, Peruvians, who are part of this class. And so we went to Ecuador. We just came back from Ecuador. So we're looking at indigenous issues. They're so similar to our history that we can immediately identify with each other. So it's an exciting time. And so coming from Cotton County to international is pretty exciting.
That is incredible, and we're so lucky to have you here. Before I let you go, I got to ask you, a couple years ago, Johnny Depp was in town, and he was shooting the Lone Ranger. You adopted him into the tribe and into your family. What about Johnny stuck out to you?
Well, I read about him, and he was, he says his family came with the Trail of Tears to Oklahoma, and he didn't, they ran away in Kentucky and stayed in Kentucky. And so he doesn't know that much about that part of the history other than what his people told him. And he was either Cherokee or Creek. So none of them picked him up. And when he was playing Tonto, he made Tonto into Comanche. And so I came home and I said, those guys should have adopted him. I told my family, my girls said, let's adopt Johnny Depp. And they said, oh, Mother, you and your wild ideas. And so we went out and sent word to him when he was, when they were casting the film here. And he immediately agreed, and we went out and met him, and he loved it, and he said it was one of the most, he felt the most, included part of his life. And so he went to Oklahoma to the Comanche Fair and was honored there, and because I adopted him, my tribe then made him an honorary member of the Comanche Nation, and so it just kind of escalated into a wonderful relationship. We had the opportunity, the film that just came out,
Transcendence,
was filmed here in New Mexico as well, and we went out to watch him do that, and it was his 50th birthday, and we met his new fiance and all of his sisters, and so during the red carpeting I was invited to all the red carpeting of the Tonto, of the Lone Ranger movie, and met all of his family, his children, and all. So it's been a wonderful relationship. My son runs it. My son is in LA in the film, television industry, and so he gets to see him more than I do. And he's always saying, I feel guilty, I haven't talked to him. He's learned to pick up Comanche words already, and so I'm his Bia, I'm his mother, so that's the way he refers to me. So.
All right, I bet you have so many stories. I'd love to hear them all. Fortunately, we're out of time, though, but people can go see you get honored by the Gathering of Nations this weekend, Saturday at 3 o'clock. Head to our website, casa.com. Click on the Casa blog. For more, LaDonna Harris, it's a true pleasure. Thank you for coming in this morning.